Hello. It is such an honor to be with you today. Wasn't that fantastic? We were changing our physiology. We were changing our state. There was a method to our madness. But it's such an honor to be here today. And I'm going to move fast because there's just so much that I want to download and I want to give you because I'm just so passionate about you being able to really create some life-changing breakthroughs in your life, about being brave and that next level, unlocking that next level version of you, that highest version of you that's inside of you right now, that's on the other side of you stepping out of the fear into faith and taking the risk, playing it big and not being afraid of what anyone thinks. Does that sound good? Yep. You're going to make some noise for me today, honestly. I'm high energy. You've got to work with me. There we go. So I'm a Tony Robbins trained coach, and these are some of the really key things that have really created life-changing transformations in my life, but also a lot of my clients' lives. So today we're talking about how to master the game, but how to master the inner game. So we're really going to break that down into strategy. Now, you need a game plan. You need a strategy that is next level. You need a strategy that's better than anybody else. This industry is fiercely competitive. You're going to get eaten alive if you go out trying to be mediocre. You've got to think outside of the box, and you've got to create, that X factor. What is that thing, that unique selling point? What is it that sets you apart from your next, person in the industry? What does that next level for you really look like? So you have to have a laser focus and a very clear vision for your life and what you're trying to create. Now, your state. You need to learn how to master your energy and master your mindset, because it's so much of this is around psychology and what we were doing before, exercise, hacking those happy hormones, learning those rituals, those disciplines every morning to be able to get you into peak performance, but that next level of your life. And then our story. How do we use our brains? How do we rewire, reframe our stories and our mindsets and our psychologies to serve us, so that we can actually create that life that we truly desire, that we create that multi-million-dollar business that we truly desire. Now, one of Tony's quotes that has really resonated with me and I've taken with me throughout my whole life has been, life is always happening for you, not to you. Appreciate that gift and you'll be wealthy now and forever. Life is always happening for you, not to you. Now, life is going to put you through some storms. There's going to be some stuff. There's going to be some resistance. You're going to go through some trials. Like we've heard some amazing stories today. But if you can go with the psychology, life is always happening for you and not to you, it's going to change the whole game. So we need to create more time, money, and freedom in our lives. But what we're ultimately trying to create is fulfillment. So what is your why? I'm sure you've all read the book by Simon Sinek. What is your why? The majority of my clients that I work with, when I ask them this question, some of them, like majority, do not know. What is your why? What is your calling? What is your purpose? Why were you put on this earth? What is your destiny? And then you've really got to create life on your own terms. You have the power. You are the architect of your own life. And what does your dream, most fulfilling life really look like with no limitations? Now, you need to do a life audit. And I know you guys have been probably around a lot of personal development and you're saying this is basic, but the majority of people don't do it and they don't do it regularly. Tell me right now, what are your top 5 goals? When we look at the main boxes of your life, when we dissect it, what are your top 5 goals right now across work, health, play, money, and relationships? And then what are those goals over the next 1, 3, and 5 years? And what action steps are you taking now and in 2025 to get there? So you've got to have a very clear vision and then reverse engineer the plan and then have actionable steps that you're taking every single day. So you've got to focus on what you can control. Now, if we can master our inner world, we can easily master the outer world. And this is where our power is. You see, Tony Robbins talks a lot about what it means to be truly unstoppable. And, when we master our inner game, we're mastering our state of mind. Now, people think it's about money. And though it's amazing to go after and have an abundant mindset and go after, that abundance and that wealth, it's actually not about money. It's actually about fulfillment. And when you break it down, you can have unwavering confidence in amidst the storms of life. When things come at you, it's about being a leader. It's about being brave. It's a call to courage. And it's about being able to go through and understanding, that you actually are the chess player, not the chess piece. So create that visual representation. Again, I don't care if you've done it 10 times before. Right now, real time, what does a vision board really look like for the next 5, 10, and 15 years of your life? How do you win $350 million international development listings? Strategy, persistence, being relentless, knowing how to pitch, but also psychology. I've had the huge honor of managing the New Zealand region for an Australian company, being able to educate investors all across New Zealand on how to create financial freedom and build wealth through property, as well as doing my coaching business. And when you ask people, what's your why, it's incredible to see the difference between wanting to create the financial freedom. But in a few weeks, I leave for Dubai to pioneer and sell developments like this across Dubai and also New York and Miami. But where did that come from? Self-belief, being relentless, but also identity. Identity is your foundation. But you've got to be able to see what you're trying to create first and believe that you're going to be able to get there. So who are you? And I love the 4 personality temperament test. It's my favorite way to psychoanalyze people really quickly in business and in life. So when I go and meet and pitch developers, I'm trying to psychoanalyze them really quickly to figure out what is their end goal, how can I serve them, how can I add more value than anybody else, and what is their personality temperament. See, we all have one predominant personality temperament and a secondary. So I'm a choleric sanguine, but also in my career, I've had to really learn how to change gears, when to dial up, and when to dial down certain things to be able to get the result in business that I want. But also, people don't really care how many houses you've sold until they know how much you actually genuinely care about them. It's a different energy. It's a different frequency. If you just start thinking about how you can genuinely serve other people, you are the light in that person's darkness. You're selling more than houses. You're there and you get an opportunity to be a leader, an expert in your industry, but to influence people that are sometimes going through really hard times. Now, your mindset is your strongest weapon. Sharpen that blade every single day. Because to change your reality, you must first change your mind. Your mindset is your biggest asset, and you are the greatest project that you're ever going to work on. The inner work is the most important thing you could ever do. That 7-11 rule, people make 11 decisions about us in the first 7 seconds. You are your own business card. The way you talk, the way you dress, the language, the vocab that you use, the way that the energy that you have, your frequency, people can feel that. And self-awareness is key. Now, one of the greatest things I ever did was the Gallup Strength Finders test. Has anyone done that training? If you haven't, go to the website. I worked one-on-one with a coach. His name was Jade Beeman. And this really did transform my life as a deep dive of focusing on unlocking what my top 5 strengths were. So go to the website, take the assessment. It'll tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And then you can further unlock what your top 34 strengths are. Because John Maxwell, leading leadership expert, I love his books. And I love how he talks about, don't try and be mediocre. Like, why are we all out here trying to work on our weaknesses, trying to make our 2 a 5? Hone in on your strengths, know what you're good at, and take your 7 to a 10, because the world doesn't want 5s, it wants 10s. And where your focus goes, energy flows. Is that good so far? Yeah. Stay with me. So this is a deep dive of the work that I did with my Gallup Clifton Strength Finders test, and you need to do this. So it's my top 5 strengths, and then it's what I bring and what I need. All of you need to have this level of self-awareness of your own strengths and your own psychology. And this was more of a breakdown of what are my motivators, what are my demotivators. Now also, go to Tony Robbins' website and do the DISC assessment. Has anyone done this personality DISC assessment? Amazing. You and your teams need to do this. Now, this is amazing for personality profiling, but understanding behavioral patterns. Now, you need to understand, which are you? Are you dominant, influence, steadiness, or conscientious? And the mix of that, but also how do you change gears when you're talking to different clients? Now, it's about fulfillment and creating, that self-mastery. And this is Tony Robbins' pyramid of mastery. So what we're trying to do is actually create fulfillment in every level and every layer of this pyramid. So you can see physical body, emotions and meaning, relationships, time, career, mission, finances, contribution, and spirituality. These are all the levels of who we are that we need to be looking at to be able to create harmony and create fulfillment in our lives. Now, also, we need to understand what our needs are, and we need to be creative and strategic in the way that we fulfill those needs as part of this human experience if we're trying to go to the 2.0 version of ourselves. So Tony's 6 human needs are certainty, variety, significance. We've got growth, contribution, and connection and love. So what we're trying to do is create harmony with all of these needs to create fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, when we break it down, we all desire to be seen, heard, and understood. Now, you need to raise your standards. Again, an energy and a frequency thing. So what are your non-negotiables for the rest of the year? What are your non-negotiables in 2025? What are you no longer available for? What's currently taking up space, time, and energy in your life that needs to be cut in order for you to really be on the trajectory of achieving your dreams? See, high standards will protect you from low quality experiences. Write that down. So I want you to leave today and think about where you need to raise your standards, because your energy is expensive and we're not giving that away for free this year. Welcome to your winning era where you realize mastering your gift, mastering your energy is your gift, right? And your diet is actually not just what you eat. Your diet is actually what you watch. It's what you listen to. It's the people that you talk to, the people that you spend time with, because those conversations are affecting your cognitive ability and your behavioral patterns. See, when you have $1 million vision, don't surround yourself with 1 cent minds. Let that sink in. Some of you need to really reassess the people in your life and the different layers that they sit and the time and energy that you actually give them. Because if you want to be 2.0, if you want to go to the next level, it's going to demand a new version of you. I loved the interview that Oprah did with Michelle Obama around the documentary on Netflix, The Light We Carry. Who's seen The Light We Carry? Go watch it. It's actually really interesting. And she talked about when they got into the White House and how she just lost all these relationships. All of these people that, she'd been close with, because they went to this new level in their life, it was like a whole lot of these people they couldn't take with them. It ended up slowing them down and being handbrakes. And she talked about how they lost oxygen. They didn't make the climb. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you've got to, the new life, your old life is going to come at a price. You've got to really lose your old life. It's going to cost you something in order to get that new life. What are you prepared to sacrifice? But going through and really assessing your relationships and the people around you, and are they serving you? And then assessing the layers, of those quality relationships into gold, silver, bronze, and tin is a very interesting experience. Now you've got to change your state, which is what we were doing after lunch. We were getting you to move around. You can do this through, exercise, breath work, meditation. We've talked about a lot of that today, good nutrition. But we want to be in peak performance. So priming is my favorite thing to do in the morning. You can YouTube Priming by Tony Robbins and make sure you do this. And there's actually neuroscience behind what you're doing. It's getting you to really, sink into visualization and gratitude, but train your reticular activating system. Now, you're going to take massive action. You're going to go away and you're going to write down those top 5 goals across all those areas of your life. I want you to then script your dream life as if it's already happened. Then actually record that, and I want you to listen to it every morning. Now, I want you to save that visual representation of your dream life, and I want you to save it to your smartphone, because we typically look at our smartphones over 400 times a day. And again, what we're doing is we're training our RAS, our reticular activating system, to focus on our goals. I want you to spend time visualizing the future and what it feels like to be there, achieving that goal, and dropping into the emotion of how that feels in the body. And keeping a gratitude journal. It sounds simple, but it's such an amazing tool for reframing our thinking. 5 things that we're grateful for every day. And then find an accountability partner, because research shows us that you're 70% more likely to achieve a goal with a coach or an accountability partner than on your own, which is only 30%. Now, your story. So the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story that you keep telling yourself. What is your inner dialogue? What is your self-talk? The way that you talk to yourself matters. Your self-belief matters. Now, success is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. We've got to rewrite, rewire, and reframe our stories. And we can do this through neuroplasticity. So research has proven that we can actually groove out new neural pathways in our brain to create new patterns of thinking, which results in new patterns of behavior. Now, our reticular activating system is a group of neurons in our brain that we hone for focus. So when you want that black Range Rover, have you noticed that you start seeing that black Range Rover everywhere? That is you honing your reticular activating system. So what we want to do is we want to make that black Range Rover your dreams and your goals. You're going to get what you focus on. And we're bombarded by over 4,000 ads a day. We're in the distraction economy. So we've got to starve our distractions and we've got to feed our focus. Now, one of my favorite life coaches, Marie Forleo, has this incredible book, but also it's a philosophy. And this also changed the game for me. Everything is figure-outable. Now, when you approach life and business with that, it changes the game completely. Everything is figure-outable. That is my mindset. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Everything's figure-outable. I'm like, this is the trajectory I'm on. This is 2.0 version. And when things come, it's like there's always a way. I'm going to figure it out. Everything is figure-outable. And that's called reframing your thinking. But what is getting in your way? What are your limiting beliefs? What are your roadblocks? What are the handbrakes? What are your king lies? What are your unbearable feelings? I want you to write all of that down, acknowledge it, and then burn it. It's called the burning ritual. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about if you want to draw an experience to you, you can't look for it. You have to become it. You have to embody it. You have to be it before you become it. So you have to look at that 2.0 version of you, and you need to dress like it. You need to every day get up and do the routines, the rituals, the disciplines of that 2.0 right now, and you will attract the money. You will attract the success. You will attract the relationships and the network. It will all align as you move forward in that frequency and that energy of 2.0. Now, traumatic transformation. We've heard some powerful stories today that for me have been the highlight of people overcoming significant odds. Now, I'm all about finding the treasure in your tragedy. I'll never forget, my life changed when I walked into a white sterile room. The doctor looked at me and told me that my dad had cancer in every major organ and bone in his body. I spent the next 6 months as the main caregiver to my dad, who was my everything, my best friend. And one day I watched him die. And death is so final, it was out of my control. There was nothing that could bring him back. And as a very optimistic person, for the first time, I experienced grief and the emotional pain and contemplated how I could end that pain or if I wanted to do life without my dad. And I had to reframe my thinking through therapy. And how I reframed is I started to be empathetic towards other people that had been through even more painful situations than me. But also I was grateful that I had a dad really present in my life for 19 years. You know, some people never get that. He gave me self-belief. He taught me purpose. He taught me how to find hope. And I could do anything I set my mind to. So I found power in my pain. And through that, I found purpose. And I actually went to Wellington. I pitched to the government. I got funding. I was managing the World Hip Hop Champions at the time. We created this really dynamic hip hop show. And we actually toured right across New Zealand. We went to 50 high schools, reached 50,000 young people with a message of hope and purpose, and saw a lot of them reach out for therapy and get the help that they needed. You see, every problem is a gift. Without problems, you would not grow. Problems are what sculpt your soul. Problems are what make you more. You see, everything that you thought was drowning you was actually teaching you how to swim. We have to become our own inner therapist, our own inner cheerleader, our own inner coach. We have to be strong on our own. Jay Shetty, 8 Rules to Love, talks about solitude. Go read that chapter. It's amazing. Learning how to be by yourself, identity, being strong, being a warrior. You see, all the things that you thought came to break you actually came to set you free. And I'll never forget the second life-altering moment in my life. I was in the basement car park of my apartment building, and I had two hands around my throat, and I was being choked to a point that I could not breathe. And in that moment, my life literally did flash before my eyes, and I thought, it's game over. I was very fortunate to be able to, it was my partner at the time, and what had started with love bombing and I thought was my soulmate and a fairy tale had turned into my worst nightmare. And I was very, very fortunate to get out of that and then rebuild myself to 2.0, to build a 7-figure business on my own, to learn how to be strong and powerful on my own, to learn how to be brave, to learn how to reframe and rewire my brain to achieve and create my life and business of my dreams. You see, the problem is we think we have time, but on average, we only get 80 summers. See, every morning that bank called time is crediting the gift of 86,400 seconds. As long as you've got air in your lungs, you have an opportunity to win. You have an opportunity to go again. You have an opportunity to be brave. You have an opportunity to get back up and make things happen and change the trajectory of your life and break through. So every morning, when that bank of time credits you, that 86,400 seconds, the question I want to leave you with today is, what are you going to do with it? Thank you, NZREC.